Hi, hello, I am Dom. Welcome to your Flow and Restore. If we've never met before, I am so excited to get to practice with you today. Little bits of housekeeping. The first portion of the class is designed to get moving, build a bit of heat, work through our asana practice, and sometimes that looks on the traditional end, sometimes it looks a little more free-for-all. And then the second portion of the class is designed for restorative. So we're working through our sympathetic nervous system and then our parasympathetic nervous system. I'm embodying the flow today with lots of comfy clothes, so please feel free to be in whatever makes you feel comfortable. For the restorative portion, we are doing a side-lying restorative shape today. That means we have sort of like two sides to do, two-sided human beings. So I recommend grabbing a bunch of pillows that you can use, as well as some blankets. 2 blankets are usually a pretty good place to start, and then as many pillows as you can get your hands on. There's no such thing as too many because we're going to be using lots. So please feel free to grab a few of those things. Now, if you are watching on YouTube, actually, let me do this the other way. If you're watching on Instagram, we also have a space set up on YouTube, which gives you a bit of a bigger stage to see us on, which is kind of fun. If you're on YouTube, and that's Dominique Cheshire Movement, if you are on YouTube, I will let you know that YouTube has been giving me a little bit of a hard time recently. So if class cuts off in the middle, I super apologize. That's why we sort of have 2 cameras going, so I can always fill in the gaps with whatever we end up missing. I do have my phone with me because there's something really beautiful that I would like to share, and it happens to be on my phone. So I promise I'm not texting in the middle of the class or anything like that. And I'm going to turn these lights up as well. So once you've sort of accumulated your stockpile of pillows and blankets, please feel free to keep one handy. I'm sitting up on a cushion myself, and we're going to find a relatively comfortable seat. So whatever that means for you and your body. And as you arrive, just taking a moment here together to settle, our energy down in space. Take a moment to feel how our breath is moving in our bodies. Inhaling and out. And so within this space of our practice, creating our own sort of bubble space, knowing that in class and practice together, it is always a practice. And if it was perfect every time, that would be kind of boring. So falling over, as long as you feel safe, is fine. Adjusting, modifying, doing your own thing is fine. I really do my best with my role as leading, blueprinting this class to make sure that there's options available for everybody. However, sometimes I can't get there quick enough. So please feel free to freestyle if that feels most appropriate for your body. You can let your hands find a placement that feels appropriate, organic to you. That could be letting them fall palm down, palm up. Maybe they're on your body somewhere. And I would like to start class a little differently today with a new addition that my intention is to do through all classes moving forward. And I will say I wish that I had the attentiveness and awareness to incorporate this in myself, but I was taking a class with my friend Jay Andrews, you can look him up, yesterday, and he started class this way, and I can't believe it never crossed my mind to do this before. So you're welcome to close your eyes and come into your breath. And I would like to start class with a land acknowledgement. I'm filming in Oakville, so this land acknowledgement is specific to Oakville. It does change depending on where you are. And so this is directly from the Town of Oakville website. Halton as we know it today is rich in the history and modern traditions of many First Nations and Métis. From the lands of the Anishinaabe to the Atawandaran, the Haudenosaunee, and the Métis. These lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in Indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, we are in solidarity with our Indigenous brothers and sisters to honor and respect the four directions, lands, waters, plants, animals, and ancestors that walked before us, and all of the wonderful elements of creation that exist. We acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations for being stewards of this traditional territory. Letting those words soak in. Take a nice big breath. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. And then exhale, shake them on the way down. Let's do that again. Inhale, big reach up. Exhale, shake on the way down, any directions. One more time. Inhale, big reach up. Exhale, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. On the way down. Taking our pause as we sit on these lands that are maybe indigenous to you and maybe we are settlers in. Being able to take the wisdom, the intelligence, the richness of the land and bringing it into our practice. When you're ready, bringing yourself forward onto hands and knees. So if being on hands and knees doesn't feel fabulous for you, you're always welcome to come up onto more of a kneeling and do sort of more of like a kneeling cat-cow. Hands planted down onto your mat. Let's take our bodies back in space to kind of release any pressure or tension on your wrists. And then let's bring them forward and just sort of feel what that weight bearing feels like. Let's do that again, taking that weight bearing backwards. So if your toes are tucked, you get maybe a bit of a foot stretch here. And then taking it forward, leaning over those hands. Taking it back in space. Bringing it forward. Inhaling. And exhaling. One more time, taking it back, maybe tucking those toes, giving that bit of a stretch there. Bringing it forward and then setting yourself right up in the middle. Can we keep those toes tucked? Can we super duper push the floor away? And can we think about drawing that rib cage in? Can we find some tension through the arms here? And not just some tension, but like maximum tension. Squeeze through your arm muscles here. Can we think wide across the collarbones? And as we're thinking that, we're also trying to push the floor away from us. Like wherever you are, you could push it down into the earth. Keeping all of that tension. As we inhale, can we lengthen through our tail, drawing our chest through our hands, peeking forward? Maybe you have a little plant section in front of you too. And then as you breathe out, rounding through your spine, focusing on that space at the fleshy low belly as we push and round the floor away. Inhaling to open across those collarbones, lengthen out through our chest, keep the muscles nice and toned in those arms. As we breathe out, scooping through the belly, through the glutes, push the floor away, drop the head, nice big stretch here. Two more, maybe inhaling through your nose as you draw your chest through, keeping that tension through the arms. Exhaling through your mouth, scooping through that belly, firing your glutes really, nice big stretch here. One more time, inhaling to lengthen it out. Exhaling to scoop and round. Keeping your spine nice and rounded here. Can you take the shape back towards a child's pose? But notice that it's a really roundy shape. Breathing into the space between the shoulder blades as you're scooping here. And extra thinking about that space, pubic bone to belly button. Yeah, that low belly that could do with a little bit of activation here. And that was not to be like a fashion scoop. It's an anatomy. It's an anatomical scoop to turn those muscles on. One more time. Plant your hands. Maybe stay nice and rounded. Can you start to lift your knees? Lifting your legs up. Let's keep a fairly generous bend in our knees here. Pushing that floor away. We're going to ripple forward into a plank, or maybe you're back down on your knees, yeah? Push up and back into that bendy, crouchy downward dog. Ripple forward into your plank. Up and back downward dog. Good. Keep moving through this little flow here. Options exist where you can be sitting back towards your heels. Come forward onto hands and knees, right? That's sort of how we kind of started, was this version. You could always play with lifting and lowering your knees or moving through that plank, up and back. Now remember, we talked pretty quickly but honestly about keeping the muscles in your arms nice and toned. Can we still stay true to that here? We're going for 3. It's getting spicy. Let's go for 2. Nice and springy. Next time you come to your forward shape, you're gonna hold. Now, if you'd like to enjoy a plank with your knees on the floor, that's absolutely fabulous. Wherever you are, can you keep the muscles of your arms turned on? Keep pushing the floor away. Zipping through that low belly, as well as the ribs drawn in. Firing through your glutes, you're hugging heels of hands down towards knees. You're hugging knees and or toes towards your heels of your hands. Take one more breath in as you breathe out. Gently guide your torso down to the floor. Flip your toenails so that pedicure side of your feet find the floor. Inhale to lift up just with the upper body. Exhale to lower it down. Inhale, just a lift of the upper body. Maybe your hands come to hover with you. Lower hands, lower body, quick little break. 2 more. Inhale to lift up just with the upper body. Maybe your hands stay. Now, maybe your hands stay up as you lower. Maybe hands stay up as your upper body lifts. Keep your upper body lifted. Plant your hands. Gently lower your torso down. Now, your choice, you could reverse and push up through a plank or slide back into your downward dog, your tabletop, your child's pose, whatever feels good for you. Big breath in wherever you are. Big breath outside out through your mouth. Now, can you keep all of the housekeeping you found in your plank here as far as the torso, the ribs, the arms go? Bending your knees, look forward to your hands. Breathe out. Empty breath takes you up to meet your hands. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale to melt it forward. Bend in the knees, perfect here. Inhale to lengthen out halfway. Exhale to melt it forward. 2 more. Rippling like a wave here. Allowing yourself the opportunity to flow in your movement. Lengthen out. Lower it down, take a pause. Maybe rub your hands together, give them a bit of a heat. And then take that heat and give it a rub down the back of your calves, your hamstrings, your ankles, maybe top of your hamstrings, your hips, maybe up into your shoulders, your head, your neck, your jaw, whatever needs it. And then let those hands come down. At any time in a forward fold, if your head doesn't love being below your heart, feel free to come up halfway. Breath in here. Breath out. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale to lower down. Step back with your right foot, right knee finds the floor. Hug those legs in nice and active. Let's sweep the arms up. Little bit of housekeeping here. So that back right bum cheek is like nice and tight. We're hugging right hip forward, left hip back. Maybe arms can come up. Maybe they interlace and you push and reach up a little bit higher. Maybe you'd like to do a pointer finger here, or maybe your hands are happy down on your thigh. You can always tuck and roll your mat or grab a blanket for behind that right knee or underneath that right knee. Breathing it in here. Breathing it out. One more nice time. Inhale to get nice and tall. If your fingers are interlaced, release them up. We're going to plant our left hand down to the left thigh. Inhale to reach up nice and tall. Maybe we can take a side bend over to the left. If you have a block next to your left thigh, you could always hold on to that there. Still firing that right bum cheek. Take one more breath in. Breathing out, bring yourself all the way up to tall. Inhaling to get super nice and tall. As we breathe out, planting the hands. Your choice if you would like to take a plank hold, a downward dog hold, a child's pose, or a flow. If you're flowing, inhale to get nice and long. As you breathe out, lowering your chest, opening those shoulder or collarbones as you lower down. Inhale, back bend of your choice. And then exhale to slide up and back, downward dog. Take a big breath in here, please. Exhale to sigh it out. Ribs are drawn in, pushing that floor away. Remembering that downward dog is not a restful place. It's more of like a home-based check-in. What's happening with my shoulders, with my arm muscles, with my hands, with my hamstrings? And maybe your home base looks like a tabletop. Maybe your home base looks like a kneeling posture. Maybe your home base looks like a chair pose. I really don't mind. Inhale to lift your heels, bend your knees, look forward. As you breathe out, make your way up, feet to meet your hands. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale to melt it down. This time, step back with your left foot, left knee finds the floor. Hug those legs in, fire that left bum cheek, reach the arms up. Now know that my pace of speaking is so that I can try and make sure you know what's happening With your next movement, definitely do not have to move as quickly as I'm talking. Hands can be interlaced, reaching up to the ceiling. Maybe you can interlace them the opposite way. That's an awkward feeling. Same with pointer finger or maybe hands to your thighs. Hug those legs in, fire up through that back bum cheek, giving your body an opportunity to find some space here. Space building, space flowing. When you're ready, maybe uninterlace your hands. Bring your right hand to meet your right thigh. Lift the left arm up. Side bend over to the right. Maybe there's a block down beside your right hip. Maybe you don't have one, and that's super perfect. Breathing it in here. Keep firing that back bum cheek, bringing it up. Reach your arms up. Big stretch here. Reach it forward. Plant your hands again. Your choice to hold a posture that feels best for you, to flow to downward dog, to child's. Inhale here. As we exhale, let's lower long spine to the floor. Flip your toenails. Inhale. Maybe you're lifting up into your full cobra. And exhale, up and back, downward dog. Take a big breath in here, please, friends. Exhale it out. 2 more breaths, maybe pedaling out through that downward dog, remembering that that upper body is working really hard, just like you would in a plank. Maybe an opportunity to find some stillness here. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees, look forward. Walk those feet up to meet your hands. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale to melt it down, step back with that right foot. We're gonna keep the right leg up really nice and high here. If you would like to, zip up through that thigh, bending into your front knee, sweeping up into a high lunge. Feeling the opportunity here to bend into that knee, and it's that same stretch, yeah? So maybe a bend of the back knee is called for if that feels most appropriate in your back. Bringing the rib cage down and in, sweeping those arms up. Maybe we interlace, maybe we point a finger. Whatever feels best for you. Taking your few breaths here. Taking a few breaths out. Keeping that back leg nice and active, whether there's a bend in the knee or not. And then can we stand up straight, straighten through the front leg, start to tip yourselves forward. Maybe you have blocks here. Maybe a shortening of the stance feels more appropriate, so we can keep our hands at our hips. Just enjoying a bit of a stretch through that back hamstring. Now, if you're trying to straighten your legs and your back super rounds wherever you are, can we consider sticking the bum out, drawing the ribs in? And if that means the knees bend, but you get that nice long spine, let's make that the tip top priority, yeah? So that we're not sacrificing safety in our backs, that we're keeping that going. If you have the mobility to keep your back lengthened and bending down, that's cool too. Can we bend into that front knee, hug the legs together as we sweep the arms up? We're going to open out into our warrior two, opening those arms nice and wide. Feeling that parallel back foot connecting with the middle, or the heel, I should say, of our front foot, opening those arms out. Breathing it in here. Breathing it out. So we're going to turn this into kind of a funky flow. We're going to take the backhand, sweep it forward. As it sweeps forward, we can pivot and find ourselves up in that nice high lunge, and then we open it out into that warrior two. Backhand sweeps around and forward, bringing ourselves up into that high lunge, and then opening it out, warrior two. It's funky on the back foot for sure, but it's good to sort of challenge new placements, right? Opening it out. And if you hate it, don't feel like you have to do it. One more time, pivoting forward. And then opening out. Settling in that warrior two. Let's lift that front heel, hug the legs in, tuck the back thigh back, and then plant the heel down. Opening those arms out, feeling nice and wide and calm across the tops of the shoulders. Back thigh super, super zipped up. Maybe the palms flip up. Breathing it in here. Breathing it out. We're going to straighten the leg, lift our arms up, and then exhale, open it out. 2 more. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale to open. 1 more time. Lift it up. Exhale to open. Backhand comes forward as we pivot back up into that high lunge. And then melt it forward. Now your choice if you want to step back into downward dog, into plank, into a flow, into a child's. Inhale to be here. As we exhale, gently lowering to the floor. Inhale, baby cobra or your full back extension, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale to reach up and back into your downward dog. Take your breath in here, please. Take a breath out. Inhaling it in. Again, feeling this as your home base, as a check-in point, and maybe your home base wants to look and feel a little different, and that is perfect. Breathing it in, breathing it out. Next inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees, look forward, breathe out, and then on empty, walk those feet to meet your hands. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale to melt it forward, step back with your left leg this time, and then pause. Hugging the legs together, fire up through your back thigh, reach those arms up. Now again, depending what's happening through your hips, maybe a bend of that back knee feels more appropriate, but that doesn't mean it's relaxed. We're still zipped up. We're still squeezing that glute. We're still reaching through the arms. And out. Maybe your fingers are interlaced the opposite way. Maybe there's a pointer finger reach. Maybe there's a flip of the hands. Whatever feels good for you. Breathing it in. Breathing it out. Stretching through that back leg if it's not already. Shifting the hips back as we reach forward. Now, if you have the mobility, maybe it's possible to come all the way down, 2 straight legs and a nice long tail. Little ways to play with this is shorten the stance, but stay up on those back toes. Maybe hands come to front thigh or hips, and we don't even worry about a straight leg. We're thinking more about the bend to lengthen through the tail and draw the belly in. That is more important to me than a straight leg and a round back, right? Maybe there's an opportunity to come halfway, blocks or a wall or a desk. Super fabulous here as a prop. And then again, maybe the mobility to be down exists. Knowing that there's no right or wrong here. There's no judgment if you're in one place versus another. It's truly just where your body is happiest, right? And we're playing to our wisdom, our truth. Bending into that front knee, sweep your arms, bring yourself up, and then let's open out into that warrior 2. Taking a moment as we are here to feel the nuances of the shape. Back foot pivots to be parallel to the back edge of the mat. Front knee is bent, front foot on the floor. Maybe lift up through that heel, hug the thighs in, turn the thigh out, place the front heel down. Even though we're moving, always knowing we're coming back to this. Back hand is going to sweep forward. We pivot, we find the lunge, and then we open up and out from it. Back hand sweeps as we pivot back up. And maybe it feels awkward and fidgety and uncomfortable, and all of that is perfectly fine. Backhand sweeps as back foot pivots, lift it up like a fountain, opening out. One more time, pivot forward, up and reach. Blossom it out. Take a pause here. Feel all those little nuances. Feeling the work. Maybe palms are down, maybe palms are up. And then we reach the arms up as we straighten through the leg. Open the arms as we bend. Reach, open, lengthen as we straighten the legs. We're zipping thighs, we're zipping glutes. We're up as tall as we can be. And then flourishing it open. 2 more. How active and strong can you make your muscles here? Opening it out. One more time. Reach out and lengthen. Open it out. Taking a pause, feeling all of those little things existing in what your shape needs it to be. Backhand pivots to come forward, as does our back foot. We reach it up. Your choice if you'd like to bring it down and forward, if you'd like to be in your home base, if you'd like to be in a plank. Take your breath in as you breathe out, bending through those knees, maybe lowering to the floor. Inhale, back bend of your choice. Just watch the shoulders aren't squeezing up to the ears. Active legs help you there. Stepping back into a downward dog or your home base. Take a big breath in here, please, friends. Exhale, sigh it out. Inhaling it in. Exhaling it out. Checking in with what you need in this moment. Maybe a bit of quiet, a bit of ease. Inhale, lift your heels. Bend your knees, look forward. As you breathe out, let's step the feet to the hands. We're going to inhale to lengthen up. I'm giggling because the next thing we're doing is going to feel funny. Bend your knees if you can. Plant your hands wherever. So maybe they have to come a little bit further forward of you, right? In order for you to have a little bit of strength. And then can you walk your feet back into your downward dog? Ripple forward into your plank. Lift up and back, downward dog. And then walk your feet like 3/4 of the way. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale to melt it down. Walk your feet back into a downward dog. Ripple yourself forward into a plank. Lift up and back. Walk your feet forward again. Inhale to come up halfway. Don't worry if this doesn't work for you. Exhale to melt. I will offer something new. Step back into your downward dog. Ripple forward into your plank. Lift your hips up, downward dog. Walk your feet forward. Keep going with that pattern. Inhale halfway. Exhale to lower down. Now, option here to step back and find a tabletop. If your shoulders are not feeling great, this is for you. If you're super happy with the flow before, keep the flow before. You're going to inhale to crouch back. Exhale to come up. Little bend of the elbows. Push yourself up. Send your bum back. Bring it forward. You're just on hands and knees. Little bend of the elbows. Push yourself up. Okay, there's another little mini flow here for you. Bend. Push. Take it back. So you could be downward dog. Ripple to plank. Back up to downward dog. Walk it forward. Halfway. Melt it down. Step back to downward dog. And then you repeat. Last little flow that you could choose instead. If you want no shoulders, you're going to bend into your knees. Hands to your heart. You're going to come up an inch. Lower down an inch. Step back with your right foot. Sweep the arms up. Bring yourself reaching forward. Step your back foot in. Lift up an inch. 2 legs down an inch. Left foot comes back. Sweep it up. Bring it, reach forward. Back leg comes in. Up an inch. Pick which flow works for you. Down an inch. Back leg steps back. Sweep it up. My hope is that if we were in class together, there would be this gorgeous mix of stuff that works. Left leg back, up into your lunge. Reach it forward. Whichever flow you're doing, can you do one more full circle, please? And wherever you are, bring yourself to meet in a chair pose. I'll give you about 4 more breaths. So tricky when we're working online together, right? Because maybe you're just moving in a room with yourself. But if you were to imagine that we had our community and we're all making choices based off of what feels so good in our bodies, how amazing would that be? It's like such an empowering thing to be in a room and we're all moving a way that feels good just for us. All right, are we all here in our chair? Chair pose, you're bending through your knees. Your tail is reaching out behind you, pushing down through those toes, feeling all 10 toes through your foot, through your heel, up through the line of your thigh into your bum cheek. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Can we lengthen out through our spines? Push your hands together. Turn to the right. Now, maybe you're pretty upright and this rotation feels fabulous in and of itself. Maybe it feels reasonable to get lower in the legs. Maybe it feels reasonable to place the left elbow on the right thigh and then rotate here. We're holding for 3. Nice calm breaths, picking your range for 2. Last one, looking down to the floor, release the arms, sweep them up. Staying nice and gushy, nice and tight, nice and like, feeling fabulous in your legs. Reaching those hands, fusing them together to create length through your spine. Maybe your torso can turn to the left. Maybe this feels fabulous because remember, we're keeping our hips and our knees in alignment. Maybe it feels reasonable to bend a little bit lower. Maybe it feels reasonable to place the right elbow on the left knee and rotate your torso here. 3 breaths, please. Exhaling it out. Maybe your exhale is through your nose, maybe it's through your mouth, but letting that breath have flow, have energy. Release the hands as you look down, sweep them up. Push through your feet, stand nice and tall, and then shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Inhale, sweep those arms up. As you breathe out, right hand drops down, take a side bend over to the left. Can you take this side bend over? Oh, sorry, we're taking a side bend to the right. That didn't make any sense. Side bend to the right. You're gonna circle your torso around to the front. You have this moment where you're like sort of in a forward fold. And then circling around to the left, your left hand stays down, your right arm reaches up, so you're in a side bend. And then both arms lift up. Taking a second to feel that length, that height, and then left arm comes down as we take a side bend over to the left. Circling the torso down and around through space. Right hand stays down beside you, left arm circles sideways. And then we bring ourselves upright. Right hand draws down, circle around, side bend to the right. Circling around to the left. Left hand pauses, right arm overhead. And then bring yourself up. Maybe there's a little hint of a back bend here for you. Firing through those glutes, bringing yourself upright. Left hand comes down, side bend over to the left. Circling that body forward. Right hand comes down beside us to the right. Left arm up overhead. Maybe your arms come up and there's a chance for a back bend here for you. Take your breath in. And then in the slowest, most delicious dive forward, bending through those knees, melting yourself into a forward fold. Now, however you would like to, plopping yourself lovingly down on the floor, giving those legs maybe a little shakety shake shake. Grab, if you'd like, a blanket just to pop yourself up on for a little bit of extra height here. Just going to take a gentle twist. So I'm just going to give myself a little booster seat. We're going to take that right leg and pull it in so the right foot is planted on the floor. Left leg is out nice and long. Can we reach both of our arms up in space? Now, your first tip-top goal here is that length of the pelvis. So maybe your right foot being in doesn't work for you and it needs to be further out. That's perfect. Arms reach up. We're going to twist to the right and then bring our arms down. So your right hand is going to come behind you like a kickstand. Now, depending where your left leg is, maybe you're just sort of like draping over it. That's fine. Maybe it's close enough that your left elbow can hook into it. Or maybe you have the room to bend your left elbow to lift up and around. That twist, personally, I don't love. I'm a much bigger fan of hugging in with my elbow. Your left leg is nice and strong here. It's active up through that thigh. Inhaling to lift up tall. Exhaling to rotate further around to the right. Inhaling up tall. Exhaling around to the right. One more time, breathe in. As you breathe out, looking forward, bringing yourself all the way around. Maybe a little counter twist to the left is called for here. And then unraveling it, let's go the other way. Right leg out nice and long, bending through that left leg, checking in with where your low back, where your upper back sits, if we can keep it nice and stacked. We're going to reach both of the arms up to be nice and tall. Twist up and around to the left. Then open the arms out. So your left hand will come behind your left hip like a kickstand. You can play with the location of your left leg. Right arm will maybe drape, maybe right elbow into left knee. Maybe you bring that arm up and rotate it around. Taking your breath in here. Taking your breath out. Breathing it in. Breathing it out. When you're ready, turning your gaze to face forward, unraveling and taking maybe a little twist. Starting to prepare ourselves for the first half of our restorative shape making. So if there's any other movements you feel like you would like to create, please feel free to create them. And I'm going to start setting us up, and you can kind of follow along with your restorative. So the first thing I always like to do with restorative practice is set up a blanket to lie on. So it's no longer the feeling of our mats or carpet or whatever you've been practicing on. We have this really lovely change in texture. This is one of my favorite blankets. It's really, really cozy. And then from here, we're going to decide where we would like the top half of our body to be. So for today, I'm going to send my top of my head down this way. And so I'm going to put 2 cushions there. Now my 2 cushions of these sort of equal one pretty average size, I would say, bedroom pillow. So you're always welcome to use one of those. I'm going to grab a few more blankets and pillows here. And so what I would like to do is we're going to create a little lift for the waist here. So I'm actually going to double this up. So it's about the same height as where my head is going to be. And then just for a little test-a-ruse here, I'm lining up my left hip with this pillow shape. I'm like, what are these pillows? We're going to allow ourselves to come all the way over so it sort of fills in the gap of our waist. And then my shoulder is left free now. So a little bit of fidgeting. I just need to close in this gap a little bit. And then that gives me the space for my left arm, which feels pretty good. Now, if you can't quite figure out the nuances, please take your time to make this as cozy as possible. Maybe you want to pop an extra blanket in this little divot that we've created that's going to lift your shoulder up. Maybe we want to put a blanket where your hip is so that your hip is a little bit higher. I recommend keeping a blanket or pillow or something handy for in between your knees so that as you lie down, your knees can stack fairly comfortably on top of each other. Ooh, this is getting so comfy already. Last little bit of business here to extra zhuzh it up is if you can, you're just going to start to tuck and play with the edges, the borderline around where your head is resting, and see if you can kind of tuck it in to any empty space. So we're sort of arts and craftsing here. Our pillow, it's no longer flat, or your blanket is no longer flat. It has a little bit of a scoop to it, which allows the body, allows the neck anyway, to feel extra, extra supported. Once you feel like you have found the perfect setup, oh, the yawns are starting, the perfect setup for this, feel free to grab a blanket, pull yourself over, tuck yourself in as we take a few moments here to just start to chill it down. Your top arm, if you are looking for one extra thing to do here, it's depending how you're feeling, depending how you're doing with your supply of blankets and pillows. Sometimes I bring my top hand under to sort of tuck in with the pillows. Or if you grab another blanket or pillow to, you have to wiggle these forward to sort of hug it in with, that really works wonders as well. If it's available to you to close your eyes, please feel free. And then one last time, just to make sure we're as comfy as possible, we have pillows stacked underneath our head, maybe blankets, and we're sort of playing with the tuck of them to give our head some extra support. We have a space where our shoulder and arm is reaching down towards the floor. But if it feels a little too strenuous, then tucking some blankets underneath that. We have some pillows or blankets underneath our waist to sort of allow us to take an archy side bend. Maybe an extra blanket or pillow underneath your hip. And then a pillow for your knees or a blanket. Something to rest your top arm on. And then a blanket over top. Finding the flow of your breath here. Inhaling it in. Yawning or exhaling it out. Taking our time, knowing that even as we soften into silence together, I'm still here, still available as a guide. Noticing if there are any places that we can give permission to soften. Maybe ankles and toes, maybe through some of our bigger muscles like our quads, into your hips, into your belly. Are we holding on here? Or can we allow it to take space? Through our chest and our ribs, through our smile muscles, through our thinking muscles in our forehead, the gaze of your eyes underneath your eyelids, allowing them all to have a moment of peace and space. Allowing your breath to take you a little bit deeper. Enjoying those breaths in and releasing those breaths out. And as your body is softening here, noticing if there's anything you can do to make it a little more comfortable. Maybe it's an extra pillow or blanket somewhere. Maybe it's the lights off. Maybe it's turning on some sound, or maybe it's settling into some silence. Giving the gift to our bodies of rest and restore. The gift to your hormonal system, your digestive system, your immune system. Subtle bodies that work for us all day. We maybe don't often take time to gift. Staying exactly as you are, honing in on what you feel and how you are being. flow of breath in your body, always existing. Maybe some days easier than others. Feeling exactly how you feel right now and leaning into it. Before we move to find this shape on the second side, indulging for an extra breath or two in ways to soften even a little bit more. Staying as you are, I will let you know what we're doing and then invite you into the movement. So, fairly simple procedure to make it to our second side. Trying to stay with as much of the juju as you've created for yourself. All we need to do is bring ourselves up and then flip over. So whenever you are ready, maybe adding a little subtle movement of fingers or toes, starting to ask your body if it's ready to find this shape on your other side. Leaving maybe the foundational blankets and pillows where they are, and then just allowing the gift of the support for your knees and your arms to follow with you. Now it is my intention to close practice together today and my invitation to you to close together. However, if it feels like you're super happy where you are and you would like to stay there forever and ever, please feel free to do so. And you can just ignore me. I also have some chimes I would love to play for you. And I hope that's okay. letting the vibration of the chimes of your practice, of your restoration, exist and flourish with all of the water droplets within us that we are made up of. Offering yourself the permission to be exactly as you are. The invitation to close practice together exists. But if you've gotten really cozy and would like to stay within your practice for a little bit longer, please feel free to do so. If you would like to close practice together, starting to invite maybe a little yawn, a deepening of breath, maybe a little wiggle of fingers or toes, maybe a stretch overhead if you're feeling a little grander. And with always the invitation to keep your eyes closed, they're welcome to be open if you'd prefer. Bringing yourself up into your version of a comfortable seat. Letting your hands arrive anywhere that feels organic in your body and your movement. Maybe palms down, palms up, maybe palms in your lap. A gentle bow of the head to honor yourself, your practice, and the wisdom and the resiliency of the land we practice on. It is always such a marvel to me, the power of community. How we all have our strengths, and when we get to practice them and bring them in to a space that feels welcoming of difference and individuality, just how amazing and powerful that is. And while practicing in this arrangement might not always feel that sense of community, this is my offering to you to know that it still exists. It's still there. That we are still practicing together, and that in this particular form, that practice gets to live on and on and on and on. And each time the practice of this arrangement happens, we are building more community and more community and more community. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your willingness to move and restore. Privilege doesn't cover how I feel to get to be here with you. Thank you so, so much for your time. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Thank you, thank you, thank you.